Welcome. Season 3, episode 6 of the Breaking Chains podcast. Today, we're going to talk about leveling up.
Level up.
That's a song.
Level up.
Who sings that?
I just sang it. Sierra.
Ciara?
Yeah.
Level up.
Yeah.
I know it.
We're still on adapting. So we are adapting to leveling up. So that's kind of a cool concept to think about, right? Like when you level up.
You're adapting.
Yeah. Why'd you scream it?
That was loud?
You're loud today.
Hello?
Yeah, it's not that, it's like that conversation we had when we first started talking about adapting. Remember, you can grow. I mean, you can adapt, but you're not necessarily growing, right? So like you can level up to things in life. Like suddenly you could be more financially stable. You can move a higher in positions, right? You could level up in a way, but a lot of times you don't realize that this takes adapting to. Let's say when people win the lottery, a lot of people win the lottery, and then what happens?
They lose it.
They just lose the money. A lot of athletes start making millions, and then what happens? They spend it, and then they're back to where they started because they weren't taught how to create habits to sustain. When you get something instantaneous, you are not adapted to maintenance. Right? That's why a lot of problems right now with our children in this generation is like instant gratification, but they don't know how to behave in order to maintain that level of happiness that the instant gratification gives them. So they're like little miserable children.
Because they're trying to maintain the level of happiness?
Because they need instant gratification. Or say, like, I don't know how to be happy without getting what I want. So they're like, "Rah." Does that make sense?
But do you think that all kids are kind of like that?
No.
And it's a process of like kind of growing up. It's like you come in here like, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. And then over time you realize, okay, I kind of got to, like Kobe right now is like, I kind of got to work the system a little bit. Let me take it to this far. But man, if I go that far, mommy's going to take it away from me. So then I'm going to go give her a hug and a kiss and say, mommy, I love you. And he's going to get back what he wants. And he's back in the good, he's back in the good
Why
seat.
is it just with me?
Because he doesn't really do that with me. He doesn't do it with me.
So leveling up and adapting to the levels that we go up, right? Like sometimes when we talk about growth, we talk about like it's just another level, like, right? Like you think that you get through something, like we go through something like the universe gives us something really hard to endure, to grow, and to level up, and then it's like, okay, round 2, fight.
Agreed.
It's like adapting to that next level. So I just wanted to talk about a couple things that occur when you start to level up in life. And this is about like growing. This is about adapting to the next level.
Okay.
Yeah. So what happens? Let's say like you decide to go on a spiritual journey and start to grow spiritually. What starts happening?
Destruction.
Of what?
Everything.
What do you mean? Go. Excuse me.
Honestly, when you go on the spiritual journey, you're
Choking on air. Sorry.
You're in no man's land, and there really isn't anybody who can be there with you. They can give you information on their side of their experiences, but you're all on your own. And so when I say destruction, I mean, if we believe that we're energy bodies and based off of frequency and vibration, as you start to raise the spirit, you're kind of going into a different world. And so what's going to happen in that world is that people who you resonated with previously, you no longer resonate with. Experiences that you resonated with, you no longer resonate with them. So it's people, it's environments, it's places, it's experiences, or even habitual patterns, right? Like if you used to smoke before, but then you went on the spiritual journey. Like smoking is like, I would never smoke anymore because you're actually not the same person anymore.
You're not, it's not even like one of those things that you are like, I have to stop doing this. It stops being a fight.
Yeah.
And things naturally fall off. Like you said, relationships, habits, not because necessarily a habit fell off, but what usually happens when one habit falls off? What are you doing? You're replacing habits. So where you might have went outside to take a smoke, maybe you learned how to breathe. Maybe you learned breath work.
Yeah.
And you realize that that's way more powerful than getting a nicotine rush.
Yeah. I think you're paying attention more to the pros and the cons of what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Right, but it's usually replaced,
Yeah.
right? Because if you're not filling your vortex, like your energy cup, with something, you're going to fill voids. You're going to find different things to fill it up, right? Like a lot of people seek sex, drugs, and alcohol. Is it because they really want that in their lives? Like if you ask them deeply, like if you looked into somebody's eyes and their soul, like, do you want this? You might get those people that are like, yes, I want it all. But like if you really just unlayer all of that and they go through their traumas, maybe like do some therapy, and you might be uncovering something like mommy issues. That's why I want to sleep with all these women. Abuse issues. That's why I want to numb myself with alcohol. And drugs.
It's a deep dive.
Yeah,
it's a deep dive into a lot of unconscious stuff that can be challenging, but that's why I said destruction, because life as you know it is not the same. Mm-hmm. And then as you start to see life around you destruct in front of your eyes, you don't know at what level that continues on.
Yeah, let's use a different word. Like for my brain to comprehend, like when you say destruct, I see like an unveiling. Like you actually see what's there and what's superficial.
Yeah, I guess maybe like a transform.
Well, you could use the word destruct because maybe everything in your life was like destroyed, like boom, you just see things blowing up, right? Like
I guess
I'm very visual.
Destruct is coming from, you're right. Destruct is coming from an egotistical approach where I'm like, where am I? My whole life is like different, right?
It's all a lie.
But like you said, like the veil.
Yeah,
it's like
a lie. Thing. Like you start seeing the truth, and once you know, and a lot of leveling up is just uncovering truth. Whether that's in business, right? Whether that's in your spiritual life, whether that's in your relationships, right? When you level up in your relationship, you start to know more truth about each other. Things are no longer superficial. The higher you move up in business, you start seeing truths to what people are really doing. Like, oh, that's how they got there. It's not what I always thought it was. It's not all this hard work. It's about getting to know a CEO. And he's like, hey, buddy, let's do this. And this is how I'm going to take you to your next level in business. And this is what I did. Like, oh, shoot, that's what you did? You learned a rabbit hole or like what are those holes and clauses? Like you just learned a new clause in your business.
Loophole?
A loophole rabbit hole. I'm always going down rabbit holes. But yeah, loopholes. That's huge in business because you're like, damn, is that simple? Right? But leveling up is just uncovering truth. And when you uncover truth, a lot of times things shift, like you said, like relationships. Just like with habits, you might not necessarily just drop people off. Like, this relationship's not doing it. What happens energetically is that you start to find that maybe you're just always doing something because you're leveling up. Like, so let's say that you're working on your business and you have very important, fun, exciting business calls. You might not always be hopping on the phone to gossip with your friend anymore.
Yeah.
That relationship might fall off. You don't have time to gossip. You're being creative. You're using your creative mind for ideas, to create beauty in this world, to create awesomeness instead of thinking of judgments in other people and what they're not doing and what they're doing. You're not focused on that.
It's like what fuels you change. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you want to be fueled by not negativity but positivity.
Yeah, and that, like, you surround yourself with people that motivate you. They're not talking about other people.
Yeah.
They're talking about how you can be great. What can we do differently today to to level up, to grow? What can we do to create something? How can we create better finance in your life? How can we create better health in our lives? How can we create love in our lives, right? So what happens is relationships fall off. It happens, and that's you adapt. You adapt to still sending that person love and saying, "Hey, do you want to come with me?" Or not.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice. But I think it's the awareness of what's actually taking place is the hardest for people to see.
Yeah.
I know it's initially hard, but like if you think about anything, typically things have to be destroyed sometimes in order for them to be rebuilt, like the foundation.
Yeah.
And I think that if we give ourselves a little bit more patience to discern where we're at on our journey, and we realize the inside equals the outside, we have to trust in that process.
Yeah.
It makes the journey a little bit easier.
Yeah. And more about the habits, right? So like we talk about habits falling off, like bad habits. Bad if we want to judge, but like habits are habits. We all have some, and sometimes what you view as a bad habit may be good for somebody else. Maybe that's the way they get through their day and are able to do what they do in a positive way, as opposed to neglect what they have to do and maybe
Correct.
off themselves, like what's good for one is not good for another. But let's think of habits. What creates that opportunity to level up?
What creates it? Challenges.
And creating challenges, yes. So like usually you're challenged by something is shown, a truth is shown, and then you have to create habitual consistency in your life. Because like I said before, like when somebody just like wins the lottery and they just do what they've been doing, their habits remain.
Yeah.
So now you have to consistently do things to create that financial success. So if you were to lose that money, you could just do the same habits to get it again.
Because the skills are there.
Yes. And
Because the foundation is there.
The foundation is laid to create that wealth, right? Because that's really what habits are.
Yeah.
They're either making you wealthy or they're making you poor, because it's all in your head, right? Another thing that I recognize when leveling up in life, whether it's relationships, whether it's spirituality, giving is receiving. The only way to receive anything in this world, in this life, in this universe, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to spirituality, when it comes to health, you have to give it your all, right?
You have to give your all, you said?
You have to give it your all.
Agreed. So there's this one, I really love this metaphor, I guess, but it's like, reality is like your life is like a mirror. Mm-hmm. So how you feel inside is what the world reflects back to you, right? So from that perspective, I read about an example of even when you're looking in a mirror, like when you're looking in a mirror, who has to smile first? Mm-hmm. Right? So when you look in the mirror, you have to smile, and then the mirror smiles back at you.
Right.
So it's almost like the things that we're looking for in our life, we have to be in that mode internally in order for the world to reflect back to us what we're giving it. So like trying to line up exactly what you just said with somewhat of a visual.
Yeah, offering.
Yeah.
Offering. And you have to offer what you want to receive.
Yeah.
And I think like you could go really deep in this with like spirituality when they talk about sacrifice, when they talk about offerings and the church and you tithe. It's all about giving, trusting and knowing that whatever you give in this world, it comes back tenfold. And so it's not even going in like, ooh, if I give this much and I'm going to do the math and this is how much I'm going to get into return. It's about doing it joyfully. Like,
of course,
the best feeling in the world is like giving something to somebody and somebody else like being excited about what you just gave them. It's so much better than even getting, because it's like, wow, I get to see the reaction on this person's face. I get to feel their energy of enjoying something that I got to gift them.
Yeah.
Right? It's such a gift to be able to give. But where we get stuck in this realm as human beings is feeling that tightness of, but if I give this, then I won't have it, right? Or I don't have enough to give yet. And that's why we always see the biggest breakthroughs in people when, or like those stories, like, I don't know if you grew up in like churches where you hear those stories, like, I didn't have nothing, I just had $1, I had $100, and God said to me, you hear those stories, like, give that $100, give that poor man on the street the $100, the homeless guy, and then I walked home and received the check for $10,000.
I think that was Tony Robbins' story.
No, I don't know if you grew up in church, but that is literally every single testimony. I heard God say, give this person the last thing you have.
Yeah.
It's all I got. Give it away and watch me bless you. Maybe they don't even hear the like, watch me bless you, but they're like, I heard God say, and I was like, why God? Why I gotta give this, right? And then I gave it anyway, because if God told me to. But that God's in your heart. That's like in the inside of all of us. We want to give. We are here to help each other. We're not here to keep it all to ourselves. I think we talked about this last time. Did we talk about it on the podcast or at home? When like, you said that you heard a stat.
Oh, yeah. So the stat that I heard was two groups of people were asked about taking a position. One group was told, or the same group.
Same group. They had two choices.
Two choices. What would they rather have? Pretty much, the choice was, would they be fine working at a company making $100,000, but half of everybody else made $200,000?
You're not telling this as well as you did to me.
Yeah, I don't remember.
You said like a group of people were asked, would they rather make $100,000 and everyone around them make $200,000, or would they rather make
it wasn't
$50,000?
Everybody. It was 50%.
Or like everyone else around them make $25,000.
Correct.
So what most of them chose, which I was so shocked by, was a lot of them would rather make $50,000 and everyone else around them make $25,000.
Correct. Because a lot of the ways that a lot of people operate is they're okay as long as somebody's not doing as good as they are.
Right. They want to make the most. I want to be top dog. I want to make the most. I want to have it all. And I could see like economically why a lot of people would go into that math and be like, well, if that's the ratio, and then economically, like they can go into like a lot of stats and think that if everybody else is making less, then I'll be more financially better off. But like, I was shocked when you said that, because I was like, oh my God, like people don't like to see other people around them win and then like have something to work towards.
Yeah.
But like as you said, I can also get why people would want to make more where everyone else
I just want to give this one example. So Alex Hormozy, I saw this quote by him. It wasn't a quote, it was actually a video. And he said that, when he opened up his first gym, all his clients, he would sometimes be sleeping at the gym and whatever, working long days, 18-hour days. And that his clients were like, man, you're almost there. Like, you're almost there. Keep going. Keep going. And then when he finally made it, they looked at him and they were like, oh, look at the big guy now. Don't got to come into work. And he had this quote that said, it was like, people will root for you as long as you're not doing better than them.
That is what is mind-blowing, right? And I when you told me that thing, what was my response? I said,
you were blown away.
I was blown away, and I said, that's not the world I live in.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that is the purpose of this whole podcast. Like, we get to choose And I think this is our work in this realm. I think this is our work as humans. As when I read the Bible, like live in that Christ image. It is knowing there's a better world.
Of course.
Knowing that we want this to be a better world, but we have to look out there and see it first. We have to look into the mirror, right? And see that world first. In my world, everybody wants everyone to win.
Agreed. I'm with you.
That's my world.
100%.
Like, do you live in the same world? Maybe not.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But you're welcome to come in my world.
At any time.
And I will root for you. I will cheer you on. No matter how successful you are, I will tell a millionaire. Like, I was talking to the doctor. I was on my way here from a well visit. It was really cool because I would expect a family doctor to make a good living, right? But for the first time, and I've been like, not anti-medical, but like, I've been challenging the medical system since, Kobe was little. Our first son was little. But still, when I went into doctor offices, there is just this energetic feeling where a doctor is here and you're here, right? They get to tell you what it is. You can't really challenge them. Like, they know it all. For the first time, and I've been challenging this doctor for years now, I felt like here. He couldn't tell me anything. Right? And that's where I feel like we should all be. And the reason why he couldn't tell me anything, because all he was able to say, because I don't do a lot of things the medical industry wants me to do, he was like, you're doing a great job. Actually, your kids are healthy, you're healthy. There's nothing I could say to you, but, if you're ready for those pokes, or I can,
Yeah.
It's like he was stuttering. And it wasn't that it made me feel good that he felt a little nervous.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I did a little bit. But I finally felt like, oh, we're on the same plane.
Yeah.
Now, he's rooting for me as a mom being successful with healthy kids, right? And I'm rooting for him as a doctor for supporting moms.
Yeah.
That are making their own choices. That's the world I live in. Not where a doctor is up here and the patient's here.
Of course.
It's that patient wanting to see a doctor successful.
It's almost like the doctor should be a guide to the options.
And that's
that the
what
patient and the
like.
doctor work together
Yeah.
on what makes the most sense.
And then I asked him for a script. He was like, oh, is there any questions? I was like, can you give me a script for a nebulizer? He's like, for what? I was like, well, I want to put some saline in it for my kids. So, like, I'm telling you what to do. You work for me, right? I'm paying you. And I choose you as my doctor because I trust you.
Yeah.
And you get to offer your services to me. And that's how it all should be. We all get to choose these relationships.
Agreed.
Not that you're up here and I should feel like, oh, I'm so scared to say anything to you, right? It shouldn't feel like that in a relationship of any kind.
Yeah.
Whether it's a partnership, whether it's your employees, right? They should be able to come and talk to you and say, this is how I feel.
Yeah. Of course.
That's like truly leveling up and adapting. Like unveiling all those masks and
But really what it's showing is that there's no such thing as separation.
yeah.
That's really what it is. And you're not looking at anybody as above or below you.
Superior.
You're looking at everybody as equals to you. Like
authority.
They are you in a way, right? So I think that is the key. But it's a matter of everybody stepping into their own power to acknowledge that and to understand that.
Yeah.
But it's another process to uncover that,
Yeah.
right? So what would you tell the viewers right now how have you been able to level up? Like, how have you been able to step into your power? Like, how did you know, like, man, this relationship with the doctor is not feeling right. I need to pay attention to this situation more.
So that's where we go back to the whole point in talking about this and talking about habits. It doesn't happen overnight. Like I just said, 4 years I've been like challenging doctors ever since my son had severe reactions to vaccines. And you can bleep that out if you need to. He had severe reactions and I'm like, yo, this is happening every time I come to you guys. Every time he has a reaction. And they were looking at me like I was crazy. And I was like, all right, so can I stop this? And they're like, nah, if you stop here, you gotta go. You can't stay in this practice. So that to me, like I tell the story all the time, but that to me is like, whoa, if somebody doesn't ask questions there. Once I did research, found out doctors get incentivized, they get paid for a certain amount of percentage of their patients fully VE'd by the time they're 1 year old. So all the infant shots, a pediatrician gets incentivized. Like, okay, if this amount of your patients, this percentage is fully, then you get a bonus.
Yeah.
They get bonus checks because it's a medication. They're drug pushers. This is what they went to school for. They didn't go to school to heal you. They went to school to Band-Aid you, to symptom, solution, not underlying problem.
Who
What
went to
is the
school for
issue
that?
here? Doctors. I want to say...
I want to say, like, that I don't know, like, I think people go into the profession for the right reasons.
Absolutely. They want to help people.
But then they're potentially tainted by the industry itself.
But then
who's
they
writing
spend $500,000 to go to the school and they need to pay it off.
No, of course.
What's the only way to pay it off?
But what I'm saying is, like, just in general, I agree with you 100%. Yeah. What I'm saying is I really believe doctors go into the field for the purpose of health care. But in reality, the profits don't line up with health care. They line up with sick care.
Right.
So if you go to the pharmaceutical industry, if everybody was healthy, not taking pills, there would be no pharmaceutical industry.
But that's the world I live in. I live in a healthcare world, right?
Yeah,
so
of course.
I hear you, and I also think it's shifting because if you look at it, like all the good doctors that we would choose, like the holistic doctors, they're not taking insurance. So insurance is not paying for them. So we bust that middleman out, right? That's the world we're moving towards.
I agree with
where
that.
Where they're like this insurance industry complex is just like it's gonna go away because it's not benefiting health.
Yeah.
People are slowly seeing that. So that is my point here. Things take time.
Of course.
They take consistency. It takes constant acquiring more and more information about how to take care of our health. Every day we learn something new.
Yeah.
Every day.
And I think it also is important to be able to communicate everything that you're learning in like a compassionate and understanding way where there's not like, I think we're in the new world, it's being able to listen and to be open to feedback or to information in general for people to grow. Right? Because there are people who are right, but their opinions are so strong that they can't share their message with other people.
Well, that's like, if we're talking about leveling up, if you're at a new level,
yeah,
you have to understand that you weren't there before. And the only way you got there was by understanding supportive people to bring you there too.
Of course.
And that's
Agreed.
the people. That's the person you need to be when you level up.
Correct.
Every time you level up, you have to want to bring people there. And that's the only way that you know you're truly at another level. Like if you do not want to help others around you.
Well, I think the new world, the new earth, like you said, I think it's all about being in service.
Yes.
Right? Like wanting everybody actually at the same level. Because there's always somebody helping us move up, and there's always maybe the people we're helping move up.
It's
right?
recognizing
it's
that we're all part of one body.
Exactly.
And we all have different functions, right? We all have different functions, whether you're a finger, whether your hair, whether you're a nose, whether your eyes. Not one body part is more important than another, right? They all have their functions.
Of course.
And they're all a piece of the whole. Like, think about your life without one arm.
Yeah.
You can probably do it, but you're much more optimal with both.
Of course.
Right? Like, think about your ears. So no piece is more important than another. Even if you're an asshole, you're important.
Everybody's got a role, right?
So yeah, I think that covers it.
So what would you say to anybody right now really looking to level up in their life? It could be health, it could be mindset, it could be...
It's so funny because
spirit.
Right, like, and there's different elements, right? Like sometimes you're so focused on the spirit. There's been times where I've been so deep in my spiritual journey where like I didn't see anything else. Everything was just spiritual. Like, ooh, you need to work on that, like, ascension up here, right? And then there's been so many times that I was just focused on my body. And it happened in stages.
Yeah.
And ultimately now I know that none of those pieces work without each other.
Yeah.
Like if I am not working on my health physically, then mentally I'm not optimal.
Yep.
If I'm not working on my mental, physically, something's going to start breaking down.
Correct.
If I'm not working on my relationships and my energetic field,
Which is like emotion.
yes, emotions.
Physical,
That's all of relationships.
mental,
You won't
emotional.
have emotions if people are not triggering you.
Yeah.
It's like they say there's this thing about like going on a mountain and meditating, like, right? Like you go away on a spiritual retreat and you go to the mountains and you meditate and you feel so enlightened and you feel so one with earth and God, and then you go back to the city and everything bothers you.
Of course.
Like these effing people all over, like why don't they just like get enlightened? That's where your work is. Your work is with the relationships and relationship to yourself.
Because they are your ultimate mirrors.
That's it. So like my whole approach to like finding out where somebody is right now, like if they're like, I really just want to upgrade my life. I just need something different. First ask yourself why. Because that question will lead you to what you actually really need to work on in that moment. Like if you're like, I just need more money right now. I need more money. Why? What do you want to do with that money? Right? Ask yourself why. Oh, I need to spiritually ascend. I just feel like I need a better relationship with God. Why? What are you lacking in relationships that you need that ultimate love, right? And then you just start exploring that. And it's going to lead you to places like the Breaking Chains podcast. It might lead you to the Bible. It might lead you to a church. It might lead you to a gym to work on your physical health. And then you meet somebody. But when you're ready to change, the universe is going to provide for you. God is going to provide for you whatever you need at that moment. The first step is wanting it.
Agreed.
And then things come. That's how it's happened with us, right?
Yeah. Wanting, seeing, visualizing.
The desire.
It's also the action part, taking the first step. You gotta take the step.
But you're only ready when you're ready. You're gonna
Yeah.
take that step when you're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think people can become ready, or do they have to be ready?
It's grace.
Yeah.
You're ready when you're graced with it. When you've had enough.
So is there anything that the viewers can do on their end if it's
You tell
only
me.
grace?
You tell the viewers. Don't ask me.
From my perspective, I think that
I know nothing.
I agree with you with grace, but I think paying attention to life, enhancing your awareness through meditation, allows you to have a different perspective. And it also helps you visualize a little bit more of how your life could be different. So I believe meditation is a key component, and meditating doesn't have to mean go sitting in a corner and in the dark and with a candle. It could also mean just being in the present moment at any given moment, to acknowledge like where you're at right now.
I was just about to say, like, I have no time to meditate. I don't want to say I have no time, right? Like, that's like the ultimate excuse. But like, that's why I find moments, like when I'm laying down with the kids at night, I tell them to stop multiple times, just relax. And then I close my eyes. And before like I drift to sleep, I always make sure I get like 5 solid connecting with my breath, my pineal gland, right? Pulling all my energy up, feeling God, saying a prayer, and being in that moment. Like that's my meditation.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
sometimes like that's all you get in the day to take that moment. But it's so magical to just take that moment of gratitude, connection. So yes, I was agreeing with you.
She agreed with me. Yes.
You're right. You're so right. He said I never. You're so right.
Anyway, one of the biggest things, the last takeaway that I want you guys to have is I think any way that you can get into the present moment right now, whether it's through breath, through attention, through whatever it may be, come into the present moment. And then look at your life from that perspective. If you can do that, you'll find out the answer step by step.
I forgot one of my main like topics today about this was Stop caring what other people think. Like, that's one thing that drops off real quick. Like, when you're really leveling up, you zone out all of those judgments. Like, you stop caring about what people are saying, about how you don't spend time with them anymore, how you don't call anymore. Oh, you're doing this now. Oh, you're just doing that because you're superficial. Oh, you think you're better than me? There's going to be so much chatter around you when you just move up, when you start focusing on what you're doing. But guess what? You're not even going to hear it because you're just so focused on what you need to do. So
you're so focused on leveling up. Thank you guys for being here today. Don't forget to follow us,
like this video,
us,
subscribe, please, and
if any of this resonates with if this resonates with you and they can help with somebody else, feel free to share it. We'd love to hear all of your feedback.
Yeah, at the Breaking Chains podcast. Hit us up.
Love you guys. Peace.